Everybody, welcome back to the Jay's Fifth Down Football Podcast. I'm your host, Jane Gay, back today with an old friend, Nick Winkler, here to talk some 49ers football with us. And crazy weekend in the NFL. Week 2 has passed us. Now we're on to week 3. It's crazy, man. This season is going by really fast, Nick. But thanks for joining us today, man.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Yep. So before we get started, make sure you guys, again, check us out, wherever you get your favorite podcasts. Also, YouTube as well, and check out Locked On 49ers, where Nick is a contributor as well. They got some great stuff there. So if you're out west and you're a 49ers fan, you definitely want to check them out for your daily San Francisco 49er news. But Nick, the 49ers beat the Seahawks in week 2 pretty handily, and an old familiar face welcomed the faithful crowd at Levi Stadium. Jimmy Garoppolo came in. So talk about the game, man, and with Trey Lance, he got injured, and just talk about your whole thoughts on the game and seeing Jimmy G come in and how you think he did.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's devastating, to see Trey Lance get hurt like that. This was going to be his season, right? He was going to learn, he was going to progress, he was going to take that next step. He's played so few games in his career, going all the way back to college, that he needs time. That's what he needs right now. So this is like the worst thing that could happen to him. He's going to miss the rest of the year with that ankle injury. But, when the 49ers restructured Jimmy Garoppolo's contract heading into the season, I said it was the best thing they could possibly do, because now they had the best backup quarterback in the league. And it's needed, right? Here we are, Jimmy Garoppolo trotting on the field and going out and getting a win. That's what he does. It's not Jimmy G, it's Jimmy W, man. He gets out there, he wins football games. And, he looked like Jimmy G. He's never going to wow you. He's never going to, he doesn't have the arm of Josh Allen or the legs of Josh Allen, or, there is only one Josh Allen. But, he's a winning quarterback. He knows how to get things done. He knows this offense. It's going to look a whole lot different this weekend, if they can actually get George Kittle back, who's been missing the first 2 weeks of the season. And they felt it. He's not only probably their best over-the-middle threat when it comes to catching the football, but he's probably their best run blocker as well. So he's been missing. But, the 49ers lost another running back, too. It's like one thing after the next. They lost Elijah Mitchell in week 1, and then Tyrion Davis-Price, their third-round draft pick at LSU, got hurt in this game. He's going to miss a couple of weeks, so it's going to be a heavy dose of Jeff Wilson. Probably going to see Marlon Mack suit up for the 49ers as well. Probably a bunch of Jordan Mason. So it's going to be interesting to see what the 49ers do, because they beat the Seahawks. That's great. They've lost to them 17 out of 20 games, right? So that's huge for them. However, the quarterback that they play this weekend in the Denver Broncos, they've also lost 17 of the last 20 games against. And, of course, that's Russell Wilson, because he moved from Seattle to Denver, where he is now the starting quarterback there. So they've definitely got, a big road ahead of them. It's going to be a fun game come Sunday. It's Sunday night under the lights. Everybody will be watching, and they got a whole week to game plan for Jimmy G, and it'll be interesting to see kind of what the offense looks, because we saw what it looked like in week 1. It was a lot of runs, it was 13 designed runs by Trey Lance. That's going to get your guy hurt. And sure enough, it did get him hurt. And it's just, they're not going to be, but what drove me mad most of all, Jay, real quick, is in that football game, twice Jimmy Garoppolo had called runs. It's like, what are you doing? You just lost your quarterback in an injury on a play, on a called run play, and then you're going to run him a couple times. Like, sometimes I just shake my head and just, it's infuriating what happens sometimes on that play calling by Kyle Shanahan. But then there's other times where he makes a call and you're like, this guy's a genius. So you got to kind of deal with the ups and downs.
Yeah. We share that both, sometimes you just see those really questionable play calls. Like, what are we doing? Right. But it was a good win for San Francisco. They looked really good. Yeah. Defense looked good. I mean, because Geno Smith, they just won, in Monday Night Football against the Broncos, against Russell Wilson. He came back to Seattle and they beat the Broncos, and Geno Smith didn't look bad, but they came out and just didn't look right against San Francisco. So they get the loss, and Quandre Diggs after the game, he's like, we fell into the hype, and we, that's not what he said. It was just one game, and we shouldn't have, got all hyped. But anyway, they get the, San Francisco gets the win. And it's by the way, Trey Lance's surgery did go successful. Everybody out there wondering, so he's good. He's gonna make a good rehab, and he expects to be back by next season. So that's just out there for everybody to know.
Yeah, a lot of credit to the 49ers defense, too, for really just shutting down anything Seattle tried to get going. It was really nice, Hufungus out there making plays as he's done now a couple of weeks in a row. Nick Bosa pressuring the quarterback, getting a couple sacks. He's a beast, and he showed it again, how you can really just disrupt a football game. And I'll be honest with you, I'd be surprised if Seattle wins more than like 3 games this year. I think that opening week was kind of their Super Bowl at home against Russell Wilson, and that was like the high point, and everything else is going to be downhill from here on out.
Yeah, it was it was an interesting game though. And not to mention a lot of crazy other games that happened over on Sunday as well. We'll get into that, but before we do that, Nick, I just wanted to ask you, so moving forward, Jimmy G's is obviously going to take place as a starting quarterback now. So what does San Francisco need to continue to do to get more wins and, just keep afloat, stay the course? Obviously you're losing Elijah Mitchell, who has dealt with injury issues. I hate to see him go down because he's one of the players I was looking forward to seeing this year. But he goes down. So, how does San Francisco manage that offense now?
Yeah, it's really just don't hurt yourselves, right? I mean, that's how they lost the first game in Chicago. Deebo Samuel fumbled, in the red zone, driving in on that opening drive, and then 2 broken plays on defense led to touchdowns for Chicago. So as long as the 49ers play their game, smart about it, run the football, secure the football, Jimmy G goes and makes plays, and that defense shows up as they do, then I think they're going to be just fine going into this next game. But I think really just don't be the one that makes the mistakes, and you're going to win.
Yeah, it's a simple formula right there. Just stay the course, stay afloat, and make the plays when you need to make them. And we all know how that defense is going to be. They're ferocious as they have always been, and now it's just up to the offense to do what they got to do. Get the balls in hands of your playmakers and let them do their thing. We saw that with Deebo Samuel. We were talking about it before the season started. We're like, okay, is he gonna get traded or not? We don't know. And then he ends up staying in San Francisco, and so now.
Right. I don't want to see him running the ball up the middle either anymore. Like, just stop running between the tackles with these guys. Like, come on, that's what your running backs are for. Give it to Juszczyk up the middle. Do something like that. But Deebo Samuel, man, you can't risk him anymore. Like, I hope Kyle really takes a step back from what he wanted to do, because you can see it. You can see it early on. He wanted to run everybody up the middle. Like, I get it. There can be holes there, and it really the defense can. It can be like Swiss cheese at times, but it can also close very quickly. And these big men fall on these, more slender guys. And all of a sudden you got a torn ankle or you got a busted up knee, stuff like that. So I really hope he just starts spreading it out a little bit more, get Deebo more on the end routes, things like that, like little receiver screens over the middle, stuff like that. Stop trying to run him off tackle. Like, come on, it's just or in between the guards. Like, what are you doing? You can tell I'm a little fired up.
I can see, very fired up. And then Brandon Ayuk, want to see him get more involved as well. He, reports were that he was kind of in the doghouse a little bit. And now he's trying to work his way back into offense. So hopefully he can be a huge star for this San Francisco team. So
yeah, he made a couple of good plays there in that game. Then they just kind of went away from him again. Also, I'd like to see Danny Gray more involved. I know that they took a couple of shots to him in the game, and both weren't. One was overthrown, one was underthrown. But he's a speedster. That's why they drafted him, and he's one of the fastest young receivers in the NFL. And I hope they find a way to get the ball into his hands.
Absolutely. So moving forward in the NFL on Sunday, we had a lot of crazy games, a lot of comebacks, and the Jets they come back and beat the Browns.
Crazy.
Miami, they come back from down 24-0 and beat the Baltimore Ravens. I mean, 42-38. I mean, Tua had 6 touchdowns. I think 469 passing yards. I mean, just craziness from that Dolphins offense that we were wondering about going to the season. And the Cardinals also made a comeback. So what did you think of all these games that happened, all these comebacks and everything on Sunday?
Man, it was wild, right? I mean, it's crazy because we talk about all these amazing comebacks, like what the Cardinals did. Kyler Murray, like he just looked like he was playing at a faster speed than everybody else, which he always does because he's, one of the quickest guys in the NFL, right? And that comeback against LA was just incredible. The Jets had to get the onside kick in order for theirs to work out. Like Joe Flacco leading the team at a comeback. I mean, it's just crazy, man, all these comebacks. It was so much fun to watch. I mean, Miami just has the weapons, right? I mean, you think about it, like if they can get the ball in those playmakers, Waddle and Tyreek Hill, like, oh man, those guys are so fast. Yeah, and if Tua can just kind of huck it up to him, let him go run under it, they're going to have a lot of success. But to me, honestly, I think that one of the biggest surprises of the weekend was Jacksonville shutting out Indianapolis. Like Indianapolis going to the season, everybody's like, oh, this is a team in the AFC you got to watch out for. They're gonna win their division and they're gonna do this and that. No, they are 0-2 and they have not looked good. Like you get beat by Jacksonville like that, ouch. and this is kind of, you should know most about this, right? I mean,
yes,
Matt Ryan.
Yes.
Yeah. He looks done, right?
Yeah. The offense Indianapolis just has not looked good these first 2 weeks. And, and a lot of Colts fans are already talking about, we're going to have another quarterback in 2023 next year. Is the trend going to continue?
Yeah, you are.
But
Jimmy Garoppolo, probably.
Well, maybe, but I just, the Colts have just not been living up to things, and it's only been 2 weeks into the season, plenty of time left. It's a long season ahead, but you want to start off good,
yeah. That being said, every single playoff team last year, not one of them started 0-2. So I know it's a new season and it's a whole, it's not last season anymore. But you got to get a win, like you can't come out of the gate 0-2. I know it's happened. Man, it was maybe 15, 20 years ago, but I remember a team started 0-4 and then made the playoffs. And that was the first time that had ever happened. But I can't even remember what team it was. Maybe it was the San Diego Chargers at the time or something, but that stuff happens. You can start off really poorly and then you just kind of figure it out. And they've got the playmakers on that team. And it definitely hurt that they didn't have Pittman in the game for Indianapolis. He's their best receiver. And, he wasn't there. So that definitely can hurt your team. But, I mean, Jonathan Taylor, they're stacking the box. They're daring them to beat them. And Matt Ryan's not able to do it right now. So they've got to go back to the drawing board, I think, in Indy and try to figure something out.
Yeah, definitely. And they're running out of time to do so. They got to get something going quick.
0-3, not a good idea.
Yeah, not a good idea at all. And a lot of former Falcons, some Falcons fans were really happy about that performance from Matt Ryan on seeing Twitter. Man, it was crazy. They were lighting them up like, this is the quarterback. That y'all are seeing him now. This is the true Matt Ryan, and some other choice words we can't talk about here, but
let me ask you something real quick about your team and the Falcons. So I've liked what I've seen so far out of Cordero Patterson. He looks like he runs the ball hard. I really like what I've seen out of Drake London. He looks like he could be a nice, bright up-and-comer. Mariota's look good in flashes too. What's wrong with Kyle Pitts? Like, are they just taking him out? Is the defense just focusing on him and making sure that he doesn't touch the ball? I mean, what's going on?
So my thing with Kyle Pitts now, he has last week or this past game against the Rams, he only had 2 receptions for 30 yards. For 19 yards. But he's got 33 yards total through the season for the first 2 games. You drafted this guy number 4 overall in 2021. He had a 1,000-yard season as a rookie for a tight end, which I believe was the first to do it since Tony Gonzalez or one of those other guys, I believe. But that's pretty good, But then you drafted this guy so high, and he's not getting all these targets. Now I understand he's good and teams are doubling him and things like that, but you have got to, if you're Arthur Smith, you've got to figure out ways to get him the ball more. And it's not just all on Arthur Smith as a play caller, but also as Marcus Mariota as a quarterback. He's not been able to find him, as much.
He's not even taking the shots, though. I mean, 10 targets in 2 games. Like, you got to throw 10 targets a game to this guy. Like, come on.
Yeah, and it just hasn't been there, And Marcus has never been the guy, that pocket quarterback. He's not going to light you up with his arm, but he's been known for his legs. I mean, that's what got him into the draft, and that's what he was doing at Oregon, and that's why he was picked so high by Tennessee. But he's talented, but he just got to get working on those mechanics a little bit more and get these other guys more involved. But Drake London has looked excellent in these first 2 games, and I hope they continue to find him the ball. It's just got to find a way to finish.
That's 2 games. They probably should have came out of both with W's, right? Or at least game 1, they definitely should have had the W. The Rams looked a whole lot better week 2 than they did in week 1.
Yeah, well, they did in the first half, and then they just started to get conservative, and that makes me wonder. Like the Rams you're kind of first 2 weeks of the season. You're looking a little iffy. Not really like the Super Bowl champions that we were known a year ago. So it's like, okay, how soon does the Rams do they need to get things cooking with gas?
Right.
Because you can't. You got the win, but you got to get on a streak and get going. So that's something to think about for the Rams.
Yeah, all 4 teams right now in the NFC West sitting at 1-1, so it's wide open for everybody except for Seattle.
Right, as they say, the wild west, right?
That's right.
And the Bills, man, I mean, they look really good these first 2 games of the season. 41-7 win last night against the Titans on Monday Night Football just completely destroyed them. A team with Derrick Henry, they held them to less 25 yards total for the whole game. So, man, what are your thoughts on the Bills these first 2 games of the season?
They look unstoppable, right? I mean, I mentioned Josh Allen earlier, and he's at a whole nother level right now than everybody else. He looks like he sees the whole field. He doesn't make mistakes. He knows when to run the ball. He knows when to get down. He knows when to run somebody over. He knows when to throw it to Stephon Diggs, which is all the time, because why wouldn't you? And it just looks good. Their running game, their defense is looking phenomenal. This is a team that, barring any injuries, might just roll through the regular season and right on into the postseason.
Yeah, definitely.
Tennessee scares me though. Like they're kind of a sleeping giant, I believe. I think that they haven't shown up the first couple of weeks. They've just been like, whatever, we're doing all right. We're going to do our thing. But that's the kind of team that's going to rally around their coach, and they're going to rally around Derrick Henry, and they're going to find a way to get him a little bit more involved. So don't count them out just yet.
Okay, yeah, and I won't. I mean, that's obviously you got one of the best players in the NFL run the football for you, and they just Buffalo, just stifled them, and you just got to come back and go over things throughout the week, throughout practice, and you come back out on Sunday and just come, and play the game, and try to get a win there. But what's concerning me, for the Titans is Ryan Tannehill.
Yeah.
The playoff game against Cincinnati, the first offensive possession, he throws an interception. He threw a couple more in the game. If we see this kind of play out of the Titans over the next couple of games, do you think that Tennessee might go to change at quarterback, possibly?
I mean, I like that we saw it right in the second half. You saw them make the change, and it was like, oh, this is a little bit different, right? This is electric. This is kind of exciting. Yeah. I mean, obviously, if they start off 0-3 and it's Tannehill's fault again, I think you got to start thinking about it, right? I mean, 0-4, your season's essentially over, so they can't do anything like that. So he's earned a little bit of a leash, if you will. Like, you kind of give him a little bit extra time to kind of figure it out. But I don't know who Tennessee has this weekend, but it's the ultimate must win. Well, no, I say that. But then you look at the division that they're in right now in the AFC South. Jacksonville's leading that division right now at 1-1. So it's not like there are any teams like running away with it. It's some juggerhouse, Indianapolis is 0-2, right? And it's like, what is Houston? 1-1. So it's like, yes, anybody could still win this division. So if you're Tennessee, I don't think you panic right now. I don't think you do anything drastic like bench Tannehill. However, if he comes out and looks horrible in week 3, I think you got to at least, address the monkey in the room or the elephant in the room and just be like, look, buddy, I think that you're the problem right now. That's holding us back. So we'll see.
Yeah. I mean, it's just,
I want to know who Tennessee plays.
I don't even know.
I'm going to look it up right now, because now I want to know. This is a big deal.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, they play the Raiders, who also desperately need a win. That's a couple 0-2s.
That's going to be interesting.
That'll be fun. It's in Tennessee, too.
Yeah. Titans really need that win. They got to get rolling quick.
Mm-hmm.
And they just got to get things going. Cincinnati as well. They've haven't looked the best. Joe Burrow has already been sacked 13 total times through 2 weeks.
That's not crazy.
Not looking good, man.
No, he's not going to last. He's not going to last another game if you let him get sacked 6-7 times. Like, that's not okay.
Yeah, not okay at all. But It's man, it's crazy. NFL gets more and more unpredictable each and every year. And now you see all these new faces everywhere, and it's like it makes it more exciting. We've already had 2 really exciting weekends of football so far, so I'm just interested to see how it all plays out over the rest of the season. And
me too. You watch Red Zone Channel? You just watch?
Yes.
Yeah. And it's just like you said, it's nonstop all day. It's just exciting. The best part too is I watch on DirecTV. So the first play of the day was that Baltimore kick return. It was what a good guess. Like you had 8 games you could choose from, and you picked the kickoff return for a touchdown. Well played, Sunday Ticket.
Oh yeah, definitely. Who
do the Falcons have this weekend?
So the Falcons actually play the Seattle Seahawks away
in Seattle. Oh, there you go. Okay,
so we'll be seeing Geno Smith and those guys up there, 4:25 kickoff. I think they just can continue to just get. Offenses look pretty good first couple of games. They've been able to get down the field. Just got to find a way to punch it in the end zone. That's something that the Falcons have struggled with the past couple of years. And even when Matt Ryan was here and those guys, Julio, those guys, they just struggled to get the ball in the end zone at times. You got to get better at that. You got to get your playmakers involved, especially Kyle Pitts down there in the red zone, as well as Drake London. So I look for them to do that. It's going to be tough against Seattle. Pete Carroll, run the football, play good defense. That's his MO. You know that. With the 49ers. So I think that's the keys for them, man. Just go up there and play hard and try to get a win.
Yeah. I would actually. Yeah, I'm thinking I'm gonna take the Falcons in that game because, like I said, man, I think the Seahawks are spent. I think Week 1 was it for them. I like what I've seen out of Atlanta so far. They look great, in the first half of their first game, and then they look great in the second half of their second game. So they just put them together. Here we go. But the second half of that first game and the first half of that second game were pretty bad. So that's why they didn't get those wins. But that you've seen it, right? You've seen flashes of what they can do, and I think they put it all together this weekend.
I think so too. And another NFC West matchup includes if your 49ers going up against the Denver Broncos. So talk about what's going to be key to get that win there against Nathaniel Hackett and Denver, who is coming off of the game where they the kick
ugly,
and then this last game, as well. It's just not so far. Things been looking a little stagnant and kind of cogged down with Denver offensively. Even had fans up there shouting stuff for Nathaniel Hackett to do, like, what are you doing? And it's like,
right.
So what's going to be key for
booing Russell Wilson?
Yeah, like booing Russell Wilson. Like, dude, he just got there. Like, what's going to be key for the 49ers to get that win?
I think it is just containing Russell Wilson. As a 49er fan, I mentioned, he's won 17 of his 20 games that he played against the 49ers, the last 20. So he's obviously a big reason why they do that. As somebody who's watched every single one of those games, it is so infuriating to watch him just slip out of another tackle and slip out and squirt outside and make another play. It's just, it's like now that he's not on the 49ers, it's a little bit easier for me or he's not on the Seahawks because I had to hate him, right? But he's like one of those guys where you want to root for him, like he's undersized and he's swirly and he's a tough guy and he's a weirdo too off the field, which I love because I'm a super weirdo. Like I can kind of relate with Russell Wilson, right? And so I love that he's no longer on the Seahawks, but I hate that the schedule makers are like, check this out. He's gone from Seattle, but the 49ers still get to play him. I like that it's week 3, though, because you mentioned they haven't looked like they've gelled, right? They haven't looked like they've really come together on offense and kind of figured out what they're going to do. They've looked so different from week 1 to week 2. Who knows what they're going to look like coming out in week 3? And I'm glad that the 49ers get to play them early because I think that once they kind of find their stride, I think they're going to be a good football team.
Yeah, I think so. They're going to be a really good football team. You got an experienced quarterback leading them, Jimmy Garoppolo, a guy who's started there before all those years, and now now we're starting to see why they brought him back. For something for that situation like this with Trey Lance, hoping he makes a great recovery, but. Now you got Jimmy Garoppolo stepping in, and I know he's gonna come in. He's gonna lead this team. They're gonna rally behind him because they love him there, and they believe in him because he's brought them to the biggest game on the stage before. So they obviously are all gonna rally around him. I feel like so. And then Thursday night, the kickoff week 3, we got the Browns and the Steelers, so that's going to be an interesting game right there. Browns definitely want to get back in the win column after that.
Yeah. Lost to the Jets. I mean, what can you call it? But
I don't know.
Calling it a loss isn't even enough, right?
It's
was
just
so bad.
I don't know what you call that, man.
Embarrassment, I think, is what you call it.
Yes, maybe it's something a little bit higher. I don't know.
Even worse.
Even worse. Yes.
Yeah, it's bad, man.
It was bad, man. It was bad.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that game, though, just from a fantasy standpoint, my fantasy team. So, I love football, too. How'd you like the 2 games last night, kind of simultaneously?
Yeah, it was interesting. I see the NFL was trying different things now. They're trying to,
I liked it. I had 2 screens right next to each other. I was watching both. I was changing the volume on which I loved it, But again, I watched Sunday Ticket, so I'm always watching that Red Zone channel, so I like that constant action. I don't want to watch commercials. I want to watch what's happening in the game. Let's go.
Yeah, nobody wants to see a Pizza Hut commercial of Matthew Stafford, right? Or a little.
Because then I gotta just start. Yeah, then I gotta order pizza because I get hungry. I don't need to see that.
Yeah, pizza. He's like,
exactly. Pizza.
You're right. But yeah, man, it's been a great 2 weeks so far in the NFL, and looking forward to this week 3 matchup. On Thursday night, that's going to be the Browns and the Steelers. Not on Fox, it is on Amazon.
Yeah.
So everybody out there viewing there, listening here, that game is going to be on Amazon Prime. So if you don't have it, sign up for that if you want to catch the game, because you won't be able to watch it without Amazon Prime. So, but Nick, I appreciate you talking some football with us here on the podcast. It's always a pleasure to have you on, and the energy you bring here, we love it. And your 49ers, we will see how they continue to fare throughout the season. Jimmy Garoppolo now back on top at the helm of the offense. So,
be fun to watch, man. I'm really looking forward to it. Yeah, a pleasure as always, Jay.
Of course, man. And thanks again for coming on. Make sure you guys check out Locked On 49ers, daily 49ers news out there. And then make sure you check us out here on YouTube, Spotify, wherever you get your favorite podcasts. It's been Jay's Fifth Down. Your host, Jay and Gay, here with Nick Winkler as well, signing off.